Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Greg here, Rack and Rod Chronicles, and today I'm going to talk a little bit more about fly fishing. And I apologize if it's hard to see my face. I'm sitting over at my tying desk right now, and wanted to kind of show you something. This is the most important part of fly tying, is having a good vise. And you will see a lot of this vise on the new show Trout Trails, which is going to start airing this summer. We're working on filming now and so on and so forth, but wanted to bring this to you guys because we don't have a YouTube channel set up for Trout Trails just yet, and wanted to make sure you guys are looking and choosing and figuring out the type of vise you need. So real quick, just going to tie up a simple case caddis. I fish those a lot around here, and figured it wouldn't take super long. Now I haven't started yet, but I will go back to, we'll come back after I tie a little bit, just so you don't have to sit here and watch me tie the whole thing. But so the reason I'm going to show you the hook first. So super tiny, it's a number 12. All of the hooks I tie on are barbless, so obviously catch and release is a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about pulling anything off of a fish when you're trying to unhook it. So I'm gonna get this baby in the vise real quick, and then I'll show it to you. So we got her set up. So I'm gonna move the camera a little bit. I'm gonna turn it down so you can see the vise. This vise is phenomenal. And let's get over here. Boom. So this is the Regal. I'm going to spin it here so you can see it. The Regal Revolution. Stainless steel jaws, and you can get this in a couple different jaw configurations. So this is the standard in stainless steel. You can get midge, you can get big game, you can get ones that are not stainless steel. But what's really nice about this entire setup, number one, is if you've ever seen the Regal logo, in fact I'll show it to you. Okay, literally the problem I've always had year after year of tying on different vices is the fact that when I'm tying and I'm putting pressure on the hook, it starts to tip inside the jaws. And there's nothing more frustrating than having to stop and unloosen the vise and get the hook set back in the right way, especially when you're in the middle of tying. Now the one piece I do not have set up onto this vise currently is the bobbin holder, your thread rest. So as you're tying, you can drape the thread over that and not have to worry about it spinning or coming loose on the hook. What I do, however, have on here is some of the accessories that they offer. So you have the Regal tool holder, so I can keep everything right here on the vise. I'm not putting stuff down on the table. The only thing that I kind of keep away is my bobbin. But I've got my whip finisher, my scissors, and there's some other tools when I'm tying certain flies. The other nice part is on this particular base, I'm going to lift it up here a little bit so you can see it. So this is what they call their pocket base. Okay, you can get it without the pockets. It'll be just a flat base. You can do it in aluminum or bronze. This happens to be the bronze version, which is awesome because it weighs the vise down so that it's not tipping or moving as you're moving thread around the hook. The other accessory I have is their scrap trap, which is basically a catch-all for thread and pieces of feathers and whatnot, that as you're tying it catches all that. It's not all over your desk, so that's a great feature. But what's super ingenious about the Regal vise is the way that you actually put the hook into the vise. So I'm going to spin this a little bit and hopefully we can see this work. So this is, the reason it's called the Revolution is it's a rotary style vise, so you can spin it around and see all sides of the hook as you're tying. But right here, this little bar, okay, that's actually how you open and close the vise. So I'm going to grab a hold of the hook here and I'm going to try to show it to you. So I'm putting my whole hand over the top of the vise. I'm going to squeeze in, and that just loosened the vise for me. And then all I have to do is set my hook to where I want it. Boom. It bites down on it, and literally that hook is going nowhere. I'm going to bend the shank on a hook before it comes out of those jaws. So again, this is a number 12 nymph hook. I've got a tungsten copper head on it. Normally I would use black, but apparently I ran out of black bead heads. But so some of the other options that you can get from Regal is the travel case for the vise itself. So that's a huge help, especially if you take your vise when you're traveling, especially if you're going fishing somewhere, obviously if you need to tie something. And this is really great. This is actually a tool roll-up. So I can get all my tools in there, my scissors, bodkins, you name it. That all, and it folds nice up, tidy, fits right in your bag. So you can get these in a menagerie of colors, which is awesome. And they actually sent the neon green, I guess you would call it. But these things are just phenomenal. They're made in the U.S. They have this awesome medallion on. I'm going to try to zoom in a little closer here for you. These awesome medallions on both the base right here. So it's Regal Engineering, has the patent number on there, with a little fish, a little trout swimming. On the bottom, Regal Engineering gives it to you again in a sticker. Now the vise also comes with, which I don't have on here, is there's a feather spring. So it would go over the jaws, and that way you can clip a feather down in there, so that way it's out of the way as you're, again, spinning thread. But I'm going to get started here on this case caddis, and you can see I'm going to put some pretty decent pressure on here. And you can see the hook moving as I'm tying, but it's literally not going to go anywhere. So that can go in my scrap trap. So I mean, that's, you know, I'd snap the thread before I would actually break anything, you know, or move that hook in the vise jaws. So stay tuned, guys. Let me get this tied together, and I'll show you an after pick. But Regal Vises, we'll talk about it a little bit more when I get back. So stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Here, I got the majority of the thread body done. Right now I'm just throwing some dubbing on, and we're almost there. So I figured I'd jump back on, and you'll see a lot of guys when they're dubbing, they'll actually use dubbing wax. I just give my thumb and index finger a little lick, kind of get them wet, and that allows me to spin the dubbing into the thread, and it also makes it easier to not have gook everywhere. And basically that's all this fly really is. Some guys will put black in it, but you could kind of see here I'm pulling down on my bobbin right now with the thread on the hook, and it's not moving in those jaws. And that's why, you know, most tires prefer the Regal vise, just for the fact that it's literally not going anywhere. That hook is going to stay in there. Cut that a little off, but that's what's what's nice about being able to spin this bad boy around is I can see what I missed. Cut it. So, without moving the camera, I guess I'll have to do it the hard way. So there's your case caddis. And I'm trying to get it to focus, but it's not really working. But just get a little green tag in on there, brown tan dubbing body, big tungsten head on it so it drops fast. But regardless, tying certain patterns, without having a Regal could be extremely difficult. So I definitely recommend these. If you remember back last year, almost around this time, we had Alan Landier. We were at the Jersey Fly Fishing Show, and Alan tied up one of his Hendricksons for us on camera, and he is a Regal pro tire, so he's there with his Regal equipment, and we're by no means pro tires, but I can definitely tie to catch fish. So guys, check out Regal, and if you by chance own a drift boat or a drift raft, they also make some boat parts. So their other version, the non-Revolution, will have the post that comes straight up, and then your jaws would be connected to the post, where this, because it is a rotary, it has the bigger handle here with the ability to spin. You can do it without the toolbars, and again, if you, whatever color vise you get, you can get the toolbar to match. The scrap trap, what's really nice, a lot of different, most vise makers don't make a trap, for your cuttings and whatnot. So this is actually magnetic. So I no longer have to take and pick up my whole vise to dump it, or take the whole scrap trap off the vise post. I can literally just unhook it and then dump it into the trash, and then all it does is connect back on with the magnet. And this, it's got a thumb screw, so I can position it where I need it, and it's the exact right distance for this vise, which is nice. That's the downfall when you buy aftermarket cutting containers. I love the name of theirs, Scrap Trap. But when you buy ones that don't go to a vise specifically, a lot of times they don't sit in the correct spot, so you end up still with stuff all over your tying desk. But the slotted base, so you guys understand what that's for, because I didn't really go into it when I showed it to you. That is actually for your hooks, your beads, little, whether it's legs, whatever you're tying. It gives you a place to have them instead of having them kind of in bags in little containers. But like I said, guys, this is the vice of all vices. The bulldog bite. That's what that's their motto, and it literally is. That hook does not move in those jaws. And I know a lot of guys have been tying on Regal for a very long time. One guy I just talked to the other day said that he has had a Regal for 15 years and he's never replaced the jaws. He just had to replace them. So you could tell the quality and the build in that vise. So this is the official vise of Trout Trails. This is what we will be tying on. So we're really looking forward to working with Regal on the show. And I'm super excited to be able to tie on such a great vise. So stay tuned, guys. Check them out. Look them up, Regal Vises. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Find them on the website. They're always at all of the fly fishing shows. So if you're going to be, hopefully with now the pandemic starting to settle down slightly, we can get back to doing in-person, shows. Really missed not being able to go to shows in the early part of this year. But I'm going to get back to tying here. We got some fishing to do, so we'll talk to you later.